Hello everyone and welcome back to another Hufo, the series where I give you guys my honest, unfiltered opinions on a variety of subjects. To get involved in a future one of these, follow me over on Instagram and make sure you stay tuned to my stories. Anyway, let's dive into it. First we have Lucas Zerdo who asks what guitar I would most like to own right now regardless of price. So historically my answer would have been the Gibson ES295, but yesterday I went up to Norman's Rare Guitars in Los Angeles who specialize in rare vintage guitars, and I had the opportunity to play a 1963 Fender Sunburst Stratocaster, which I fell deeply in love with. For many, this guitar is the holy grail. I personally never understood the hype or the price tag until I played one. It was absolutely amazing, unlike anything else I've ever put my hands on. I've played the custom shop reissue of this model, both relic and new, and it doesn't even come close. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the fact that the wood is 50 years old. Maybe it's because it's been broken in so much, but that guitar is incredible. Now the price tag was about $22,000. I'm not sure any guitar is worth that amount of money, but if anyone is, this would be it. On an unrelated note, if you know anyone looking to buy a kidney, hit me up. Next up, my buddy Dovidos asks my hufo on NAMM, which is the North American Musical Merchants Convention, which happens every year in Anaheim, California. I was there a few weeks ago, and I've got to say it was the most fun I've had at one of these conventions. But here's the thing, I don't go there for the gear, I go there for the people. Over the years, I've gotten to know a lot of people in the music industry. They all go to NAMM, and it's a wonderful excuse to catch up with them. It's also the most condensed population of people who know who I am, so I get a chance to meet up with people like you, which is incredibly cool. Thank you so much to everyone who came up and said hi. For me, that and hanging out with other YouTubers is what it's all about. I couldn't really care less about the new line of Marshall amps or whatever. Moving on, Sean Phillips asks my hufo on Alice in Chains. Now this actually ties into my last hufo, and I picked this question because I have a funny little story to tell you from NAMM. After a long day of a lot of loud noises at the convention, I went to a backstage area to chill out in wonderful silence. I was doing a German lesson on my phone. Side note, I've been learning German, but anyway, some guy behind me starts rocking out on some power chords. This is not really what I wanted to hear in the moment, but I mean, it's not like I own the room or anything. So I turn around and realize that a small crowd has gathered and this guy is playing a song that I recognize. Apparently, it was Jerry Cantrell playing Man in the Box. So to answer your question, I've never been a huge fan of Alice in Chains. I've never really listened to them a ton, but I do respect what they do. Next up, we have Jackson McMullen who asks my opinion on playing music while drunk. Historically, music and alcohol have gone hand in hand. I've heard some people say that you should never ever drink on a gig, but I've never met anyone who follows this. A couple drinks can put you in a real good headspace to play music and take the edge off. However, you gotta know your limits because if you overshoot them, you can have a very bad time. It's never to the benefit of the music to play straight up drunk. I always try to err on the side of sobriety. I'll have one beer before the show and then put a couple on my amp to sip throughout the night. I've played enough music and drank enough beer to know where my sweet spot is, but I've also played on shows where the musician missed the wheelhouse, and that's always a mess. Don't be that guy. Okay, this was a popular one. I had a number of people ask my honest, unfiltered opinion on the general state of Gibson guitars. When I first started playing guitar, I used to go to the music store and drool over the Gibsons. Since then, I've been able to see the company from a lot of different angles. When I worked at the music store between 2005 2007, we had countless Gibsons come through the store, and I never had any issues with them, and I don't remember any customers being disappointed with their orders. After I stopped working there, I didn't touch a Gibson for years, but like many of you, I heard all the complaints about them. I can't really comment on that because I just simply wasn't around them. I did buy myself a reverse flying V when I worked in the music store. You've seen it here a bunch of times, and as much as I absolutely love the look of it, I can tell you that that is not the best guitar that Gibson has ever made. It doesn't play great, and a little while ago I went to adjust the truss rod only to find out that they didn't fully cut out the notch properly, so I had to sand some of the wood off. However, I only paid $500 US for it with my employee discount, so it's not like it was a custom shop or something like that. In regards to some of the other things people complain about, I personally hated the robot tuners. A number of the newer models weren't for me, but there were also some that I absolutely love. So a bit over a year ago, my relationship with Gibson changed. I had one of their employees reach out to me asking me if I wanted to come down to the showroom in Beverly Hills, so I went there and shot a video. Since then, I've been down to their factories in Nashville, and I've had a number of conversations with both them and the Epiphone guys. I will say that everyone I've met at Gibson takes a lot of pride in their work and really cares about what they do. The company seems to have their ear to the ground. They are very aware of of the complaints that people have about them, and to me it seems like they're trying to correct that. I think they lost their path for a while, but it seems like they're back to doing historically what they've done best. I also think that the new CEO is the right guy to steer the ship in the right direction. Their instruments won't be for everyone, but based on my experiences over the last year, I have a lot of optimism about their future. And last, we have Alejandro Rondon, who asks my opinion on the age-old question, does gear matter? Sure it does, but not as much as many people think. What obviously matters the most is the person playing it. What most of us think of as tone predominantly comes from the musician themselves. The gear only accentuates that. It doesn't matter which guitar and amp combo I use, I'm still gonna sound like me, you're still gonna sound like you. I mean, you don't want to be fighting with a super cheap guitar, but the more expensive you get, the more you're gonna see diminishing returns. Take for example that $22,000 guitar I mentioned earlier. Say I recorded a solo on that and then played the exact same solo on a 63 reissue, which would be something like $2,000. Do you think most people would be able to tell the difference? I'm gonna say 95% wouldn't. If George Harrison played a different guitar on Let It Be, would anyone notice? Probably not, but I do think these things can add up. If Let It Be was recorded in a different studio with entirely different mics and different instruments, then it would be much more obvious. At what point does it become noticeable, and how much does it really matter? Well, that's pretty subjective. I also think that different gear can inspire musicians in different ways. Whenever I get a new guitar or new pedal, I find myself doing things on that I never would do on my other instruments. But really the big thing is the instrument is drawing something from me versus the other way around. I personally recommend that you buy high quality things that will last. Do your research, but don't get too obsessed. Spending 40 hours researching guitars would be much better spent practicing guitar. Spending $5,000 to upgrade your gear will have much less of an impact than spending $5,000 on music lessons. That's about it for today's video. Thank you to everybody who sent me a topic, and if you want to get involved in a future hufo, make sure you follow me over on Instagram. My handle is samuraiguitarist, all one word, no capitals. I also post a bunch of guitar jams over there that never make their way over here. If you want to watch another video in the hufo series, you can hit that link up there. Merch is available over at www.shopsamuraiguitarist.com. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. An extra big thank you to everyone who supports my channel through Patreon. Thank you all for watching. I'm Samurai Guitarist, and I will see you again soon.